This next interview is a part of the Food on Demand series, a collection of conversations that was held live on the conference showroom floor of the Food on Demand conference in Las Vegas, Nevada in May of 2024. Our next guest in the Food on Demand series is the Director of Off-Premise for GoTo Foods, Zach Noren. The portfolio previously known as Focus Brands is home to premier names like McAllister's Deli, Carvel, Jamba, Auntie Anne's, Cinnabon, Schlotzsky's, and Moe's Southwest Grill. With 6,600 locations globally, GoTo Foods is one of the largest restaurant portfolios in the world. In this conversation, Zach and I discussed things like the virtual food court and meeting customers where they are today, how GoTo Foods optimizes their delivery experience utilizing third-party delivery providers, and the challenges that come with providing a consistent customer experience across state and international lines. Let's get to it. I myself, in the catering realm, the food delivery space, am more of a pickup guy, actually. I don't actually lend myself to the food delivery apps as much, or even in the catering room. I'd much rather go pick up my food, typically a little easier on the pocket and ease of use. But I want to candidly ask first, would you typically lend yourself to being a first-party app guy, a third-party delivery app, or as a consumer, where do you land?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's all. I think it's what is the offering and what is the time of day that I'm ordering too. I think it really lends itself from a perspective of if it's in, maybe a limited time offer, or maybe even I know exactly what I want. For instance, I want, a home wrecker and some Moe's queso and chips. I'm going to go to the Moe's app because that's what I know I want in that moment. And I can collect my loyalty points. I can then go use for not just online ordering, but even in store as well too. But maybe if I'm, I don't know what I want, I'm going to go to third-party apps. And they really have become, truly the virtual food court now, in that, if I know I want a certain cuisine type, or I just don't know what I want at all, I'll probably scroll through the app for probably way too long and then finally figure something out 30 minutes later, what I want delivered.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, kind of segmenting out how you feel in that moment. If you know what you want, I agree. First-party apps, I have probably 12 different direct-to-consumer first-party apps on my phone. I could list them off if you like. But then third-party app, as you mentioned, virtual food court of things. That's a term I haven't necessarily heard a ton, so I appreciate you sharing that. In terms of the director of off-premise and how you oversee all of that in those operations, the control of experience, obviously, is front of mind, and how the customer experience actually goes from pickup to drop-off and all things encompassed along with that. For GoTo Foods, is the preference to have that all be encompassed by first-party delivery, in-house employees are delivering that, or is it third-party delivery where you're using third-party delivery providers to deliver that for you, or is it a mix and match of each? How would you guys prefer to handle your food delivery?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our locations today, when it comes to just delivery, are fulfilled by a third-party delivery service provider, whether it be a first or third party. However, we ideally would love everything to go through first party, 100%. Right? We have that one-on-one connection. Folks are engaged in our loyalty programs, but that's just not realistic, right? Folks like Uber Eats and DoorDash, they wouldn't exist today if they didn't have, a pretty strong offering in terms of the customer experience that they give folks today. So I think really when we think about it, it's having a very healthy mix of it and really meeting your customer wherever they are throughout the digital world, and really looking at that from an omni-channel delivery lens is imperative, because you really need to understand where your customers are, where their attention is, and then start working your way backwards from there, from an operations, marketing, and customer experience standpoint.
Yeah, I love that sentiment. I think you hear that a ton nowadays, is meeting the customer where they are. I know that phrase kind of gets thrown around a ton these days. As we have mentioned, 7 brands under the umbrella. In terms of the delivery experience and packaging and setup portion, you have a massive spectrum of the expectations for these brands. Moe's, in my experience, is usually the full setup, racks, sternos, burners, all that stuff lit and ready to go. McAllister's is usually like the boxes or sandwich trays, a little easier drop and go, but you do have to sort it a little more specifically. And then you have like Auntie Anne's and Cinnabon, where it's just your pretzel buckets or Cinna stick buckets, things of that nature, where it's just drop and go, easy, wipe the hands, you're clean, in and out of there in seconds. So in terms of that, what are the focal points for GoTo Foods in terms of packaging and the setup piece on the delivery experience?
Yeah, great question. I think our team does a really good job of making sure, one, the packaging keeps the food warm as long as possible. And then even taking that a step further, how do you deliver ice cream, right?
Yeah,
what a challenge that is.
And
believe it or not, I think we as a group, and even Carvel, have done an unbelievable job of finding, a really unique way to keep the ice cream intact. In fact, recently, Technomic, I believe it was last year, named Carvel the #1 in guest satisfaction among QSRs. So
amazing.
Huge to say the least, especially when you think about delivering a product that is literally melting in your hand. So when we look at not just packaging, we really need to look at what, training, operations, making sure our franchisees and our team members are set up for success from the get-go. And so I think for us, it's about ensuring and being really customer centric and customer focused on how do we deliver a world-class experience that are not just going to keep folks engaged with us to, continue to want to order more from a delivery perspective, but then also go in store because they know, hey, I'm getting a great delivery experience that is as close or as close to as possible as the in-store experience. So,
in terms of the brands and scaling across thousands and thousands, over 6,000 store locations, a lot of these concepts are franchised out across the United States, and something that can be a little bit difficult in terms of operations is ensuring that customer experience in New York, all the way to Los Angeles, to Dallas, Texas, Miami, Florida, or smaller markets, Canton, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, where you're not working with millions of people, you're working with hundreds of thousands, a little less consumer-based, things of that nature. What is it like for your guys' team in the off-premise realm to ensure that those experiences translate from location to location?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a challenge that I think we love to meet the call to, in the sense that, we need to make sure that it's not just our brands are set up for success. It's the franchisee, it's the area director, it's the FBC, and it's our team members too that are, putting these orders together each and every day, that from a operations, training, marketing, really the whole 9 yards, they are set up for success. And that starts with engine partners like myself and really centers of excellence, in that being able to work for, a world-class platform company. We're able to tap into top-tier talent where we can give in-depth knowledge and expertise to our brands, which then are able to cascade it down across the system. And so when we do that, we do see the results and kind of the work that we bring to the table for our brands, because before, we had 7 brands really operating in their own individual silos. And when you think about that from a technology perspective, that is really, really tough. And so a big undertaking that, we're taking right now is how do we get, I would say the basics right from a technology and operations standpoint. And so it's a big reason why we've, moved forward with Q as our POS provider moving forward, in that, we're going to be able to, push in a click of a button, everything out, from whether it be digital menu boards, delivery, in-store, all at one click of a button. And I think that's going to give a lot of value, not just to our brands, but our franchisees, to help them scale accordingly.
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes. And like you mentioned, the processes, preparation, things like that, the undertaking from the C-suite level and above to make sure that the store employees and the managers and those aspects of things all have the correct information, the correct education, and can provide the right processes to put in place for that customer. Zach, first guest on the Food Demand floor of 2024. I greatly appreciate your time today. I thought we could close it out with something a little simple, something a little more fun. It might not be the easiest question because we're going to encompass a large scale ask here. But
Okay.
I was hoping to do something like if you could put together a final meal or a last meal, but you have to encompass all 7 brands under the GoTo Foods umbrella.
All right.
What would that last meal look like if you had to encompass all brands under the GoTo Food umbrella?
All right. We'll start with Annie Ann's. We'll go with a bucket with pretzel dogs and an original mix. Then go into Carvel. We're gonna go with our Cinnabon LTO Sunday Dasher, as well as our new Orange Creamy Dreamy bars. They are fantastic, great for summer. Cinnabon, we're gonna go with those Cinnabon Bon Bites. Jamba, I'm going to go with a razzmatazz. I think that's literally been my order since I was a kid. I don't think I've deviated from that since. Moe's, I'm going to go with a home wrecker and Moe's chips and queso. I mean, it's just unparalleled.
Next level.
It is just truly next level. Schlotzsky's, I'm from Chicago. I'm a big pizza guy. I love our pizza from Schlotzsky's. The bread is made fresh every day. It is one of my favorite offerings. I know people think of it as a sandwich brand, which it is, but I'm a huge fan of the pizza there. Order it quite frequently through the Schlotzsky's first party offering that we have. And then, with McAllister's, I'm going to go with a King Club and a Spud.
Okay.
Some cheesecake.
Some cheesecake.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic cheesecake that we have.
Intriguing. I mentioned the stacker earlier, the most salsa bar.
Fantastic. You cannot go wrong there.
Yeah, you can't top the salsa bar. I've never had Carvel, to be honest, but obviously massive brand. It sounds amazing.
Absolutely. Iconic brand celebrating its 90th anniversary this year, which is extremely incredible to believe that 90 years ago, Tom Carvel's truck broke down and we had the invention of literally soft serve ice cream. And it's actually been a brand for my family, who my mom's side is from New York. And my grandfather actually just celebrated his 100th birthday.
No shit.
And so it's pretty cool that there's a brand out there that has been serving my family for 90 years, to say the least.
I agree with that. That's unbelievable. Zach, as we mentioned, first guest on the Food on Demand 2024 booth showroom floor, man. I greatly appreciate your time. Greatly appreciate GoTo Foods, the relationship we've been able to cultivate over the years with all these brands you guys house. Unbelievable, and unbelievable delivery experience provided by those brands. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Ben. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me.